So today we will talk about mistakes when installing drip caps in a mullion transom system. Probably the very first and main mistake is not installing them at all, because there are many companies and installers who don't bother and simply don't install them, drip cap. This is of course a big mistake because condensation does form, and there's quite a lot of it. It flows along the transoms into the mullions, then runs down and needs to drain somewhere. Yes, no, not into the installation seam, but rather drain out to the external drip edge. There, some kind of finishing there. And then the main mistake is that, for example, they install it dry. Without sealant, you must definitely install it with sealant. I had mistakes when they installed everything and didn't clamp it well, and a gap formed where between the mullion and the drip cap, a gap where water gets in, which is also permissible. Then, when they are made in production, sometimes they don't wait for it to set, for the sealant to harden, they just stick out from the mullion like that. They wrap it, we encounter it, it bends like this, and accordingly, it sometimes comes off, and gaps also form there because of this. Further, during installation, either in the workshop or during installation, it doesn't matter, sometimes drip caps are placed higher than the lower transom, which is also incorrect because then the water from the lower transom doesn't reach the drip cap. The next thing is that it needs to be sealed. That is, the lower drip cap is placed at the level of the thermal bridge and it needs to be sealed between the thermal bridge and the drip cap so that water flows along the thermal bridge and the transom into the drip cap. The next thing is the drip cap. It is necessary to cut it to the correct depth. A very common mistake by installers is that they pull it out into the clamping bar and press it and twist it, either upwards or downwards. Accordingly, it needs to be cut correctly so that it exits precisely in the space between the cover and the clamping bar. There should be a hole for it in the clamping bar. There are cases when there isn't one. The workshop didn't make the clamping bar. The drip edge is simply pressed, the clamp remains inside, so you definitely need to pay attention to this. The limits of the drip edge should be closer to the clamp and cover to drain the water. It needs to be cut to the correct length, so if all this is done, the drip edge will work.